you would have seen, say, Shah Rukh Khan closely. What do you call him?
I'd call him SRK.
SRK. One video where you did a round table and there's Siddhant Chaturvedi sitting next to you. And I mean, he had a cracker line, all right. Jahan hamari dream khatam hoti hai, aapke struggle shuru hoti hai.
I think I'd written it from home and come. The way he said it, I was like, it's a notebook he's hidden and written this line.
Aa gaya mera mauka, bhi bol deta hu. We've had Sara Ali Khan.
She's older than me. Sara in school was even more outspoken. I would actually hide from her in school because I used to be terrified.
Your dad must be like watching some really crazy ass movies, yeah.
He watches a lot of films but he never reads. I keep sending him my scripts to read. Everyone's like, your dad must be really giving you solid advice. I'm like, no, he's not. I'm begging him to give me some advice. But no, he's only, giving his one-liners.
It's amazing to be real, honest, candid. Ananya Panday, who are you dating right now? Hello and welcome to Sit with Hitlist. As you'll realize during the course of the conversation, this is a completely unscripted chat. With me is actor Ananya Panday.
Hello.
Who will do most of the talking.
Oh my God, okay. I can do that.
We'll be chatting movies and we'll talk about your life, etc., etc. And I must say that you're the youngest person to be on this series.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
I think the last episode that we did was with Imtiaz Ali, who is definitely 50 plus. You, I'm guessing, is 25.
I'm 25.
25, yeah. There you go. So, I know we've had Sara Ali Khan.
She's older than me.
But she's older than you.
Yeah.
Like, how much older do you think?
She'll kill me. She's just a couple of months.
Listen, you guys went to the same school.
We did.
Dhirubhai Ambani International School.
Yes, we did.
So, when you're in school, everybody knows you're in class 5. This one is class 9.
Yeah, but she doesn't let me talk about it.
So, when you were in class 5, which class was she in?
I think she was in 8, but I'm not sure. She's 3 years older than me.
Okay, so you were in the 5th. Which is a very big deal when you're in school, right?
Yeah. Sara was
it seemed like a really old person when you're in like 9th standard and the person's in 12th.
Yeah, she was like, Sara in school was very like, she's outspoken now also, but in school she was even more outspoken. So she was always this like myth that Sara Ali Khan. So I would actually hide from her in school because I used to be terrified. If she was walking down a certain staircase, like I would walk from the other staircase.
No, why? Seriously?
Because she would say anything. Like she's Mufat anyways, like now also she says, but in school she was even more like Mufat and she used to really say anything. So I used to be like, she's going to say something about me.
Like what would she say to you? Like in terms of ragging? Like
not ragging, but she would like, she did not know what my name was and she didn't want to know what my name was. So we did a school, I think we did a play together in school and she was the main in the play and I was like holding her umbrella or something. I was like in the back and she wouldn't bother to know my name. So she'd be like, hey, girl, come here. So I don't think it was because my name started with A. She didn't even know that. But now when I tell her, she's like, oh, rubbish. I treated you so well, but she did not know my name also in school.
So we have one person who's taking pictures. That's Ashish Raje for you.
Hello.
Fantastic photographer. But if we had a paparazzi in front, they would not say A, they'd say ACP.
Yes.
What is ACP?
So,
and how did you get this name?
I think I want to give them props for how creative they are because it was at that police show that happens.
Yes, the Mumbai police
show that happens.
I think Umang. Yeah.
So the police show was happening and I went there and I was posing for the paps and then they started calling me ACP because Ananya Chunky Panday.
Okay.
And also because I think there's a police
Assistant
show.
Commissioner of Police.
Exactly. And there was a police show so they were trying to make some puns.
Amazing.
But now it's just stuck. So like, I don't know. I keep telling them to like call me different things, but they always go back to
They don't call you Bae.
No, I did. I got it. But they were sounding like they were like A, Bae, Chal Bae types. So then I was like, okay, let's just go back to ACP.
Like going back to Sara though, like I know that you guys, now that we know you were scared of her, but you became friends later, but that was
she
after
just
school?
Messaged me before I came.
Say?
Literally in the car, I was in the car right now because she watched Ctrl. And I was like, oh my God, you already watched it because it just dropped a few hours ago. So she messaged me because she watched the film. Yeah.
And you're friends now because of work, not so much because you were in the same school.
We like knew briefly in school. We like, as I said, these were the few interactions that we had. But yeah, we've actually become because she debuted a year before I did, and she was very welcoming. She would always like say, "Let's go for lunch," and she really made an effort to be friends. And
so you debuted in 2019.
Yeah, and she was in 2018.
Right.
Janvi and her debuted in 2018 and I debuted.
You're the class of 2019, which is like what? We're in 2024, 5 years ago, of which 2 years don't count because it's amazing. It's amazing to interview you also because I don't have to do much homework. I could put the entire filmography on my screen with a screenshot. I know all the movies, but I haven't seen Student of the Year 2. I'm really sorry. Is that okay?
It's fine.
But of course, I've seen Pati Patni Wo. I've seen Dream Girl 2.
That's quite a bit.
That's quite a bit. I've seen Liger, of course.
Okay,
we can talk about what the hell happened in Liger.
You didn't have to, but it's fine.
No, but the sense I got, and that's a very general sense, of course, in terms of the choices in your films when you started out, well, you want to be a hardcore Bollywood heroine, right? The kind of person who would have her picture in the back of an auto rickshaw.
Yeah. I don't think that still happened yet, though.
Not yet happened. Who knows? If I find a rickshaw,
please send. Please do send. But yeah, as you said, that was the dream because growing up, that's all I knew. I was a hardcore Bollywood bacha, obsessed with movies and Hindi movies specifically. I used to not watch any English movies only, and I was just obsessed with the world. And it was I would dress up Kareena, and I would know the hook steps of every single song. I would perform at every birthday party. No one even had to ask me. Usually the parents are bacha nacho and all. I was ready before my parents asked me also to just get up and perform and dance. And I think it came from the fact that my dad had this video camera. At that time the handy camera had just come out, and he had one where there was a rotating screen, so I could see myself, and I discovered that I could see myself, and I was so
this
fascinated.
Selfie before the selfie.
The first selfie, and so there are videos of me actually. I posted some on Instagram where he's recording and I'm doing some dance, and then I come, I'm show, because I was just so in awe of this camera. So I think since a young age only, I've always wanted to be an actress and be in front of the camera, and it started out with that. I think the dream was to just be on, the big screen and do the singing and the dancing, and that was all I knew. But I would say that Gehraiyan really changed it for me. I think that film changed my outlook towards acting and the kind of movies that I want to do, and there's been a shift, I think, internally.
What caused that switch? You can tell that switch.
Yeah.
I mean, if you see post Gehraiyan and pre Gehraiyan, they're two filmographies of its own.
Yeah.
Firstly, let's go pre Gehraiyan, because we'll not come back to that. Maybe we could dissect Liger for hours, but that's another matter.
Liger came after Gehraiyan.
They did,
but we counted as the pre Gehraiyan.
Yeah, pre Gehraiyan phase. I mean, that's the world that's furthest from you, right? If you say a Pati Patni or Wo, you're a girl in, I don't know where you come from in that movie, but
I'm from Delhi.
You're from Delhi, but in Kanpur, right?
Yeah.
I think Dream Girl 2, you're in Agra.
We're in today I'm forgetting everything.
But you were from somewhere.
We are Mathura. But I was from Agra.
You were from Agra.
But we were in Mathura,
That's a world completely separate from. Was that very far away from what you thought you would be doing? Did you feel lost in that world?
I didn't feel lost at all because even though the world that these girls have come from may be far away, I think the way that they were, their personalities was something that I could possibly resonate with. And I'm a complete director's actor. I think for me, just sitting and talking to my director, spending time with Raj, so he gave me such a insight into the way the world there and the life, and the way it functions. And we started shooting that film in Mathura. We were shooting in the live location, which really helped actually being there, walking around the town, going and buying mithai and just going on the boats and going shopping on the streets and all of that stuff. So I actually got the world and the feel of it pretty quickly.
So, I mean, in that sense, you don't need to really live in that world. That's what actors do. You don't have to actually experience everything that you portray.
Because it's not possible to do it. In a film that I'm doing, it's set in the 1920s now. It's not possible for me to go back then. But I think just spending time with the directors and workshopping honestly makes a huge difference.
So what caused that switch?
I think firstly, the fact that Shakun believed in me, the fact that, I was working with Shakun Batra so early on, Kapoor and Sons is one of my favorite films, Ek Mein Aur Ek Tu, all the movies that he's done, I've loved.
He's done 2.
Yeah, I love Gehraiyan also.
Okay, there you go, 3.
But whatever, I really enjoyed both of those, and I have very vivid memories of watching both of his previous work. And when I met him, I was really nervous because, as I said, I used to only watch Hindi movies, and I thought he's going to be some very hi-fi intellectual. So I watched some 2 Polish movies. So I was I have to talk to him about
Which 2 Polish movies did you watch?
I don't remember the names.
You can't watch a film and not remember while you were
Polish now. It was I can't remember.
Kieslowski fair enough.
Just some movies that I can't remember the names of right now. And I met him and then when I started talking to him, he was so chill, and he's from Delhi, and he was like my boy basically. So actually, it was I also had this different perception of him, and then when I met him, a lot of it changed. So I think the fact that he believed in me, and also he really taught me to develop my process as an actor on Gehraiyan, because he would like, even though my role wasn't, the central character and she was one of the 4 characters, he really made me develop my process. He made me do the homework, sit down, do all the workshops that, Deepika and Sid were doing also. Just build a very, very strong backstory for things that are not even going to be seen on screen. And I think I've really now inculcated that into all the films that I do now. We workshopped for Student of the Year also, but I think Gehraiyan, we workshopped a lot.
How was that workshop different from this workshop?
So in Student of the Year, I was 18 when we started working on that film. So that was, I think, just to open me up and to just get comfortable in front of the camera, because I didn't know anything. Like contrary to what people think that I've grown up going on film sets, my dad only took me on a set I think once, and I had never been on.
Which movie was that?
I don't think that movie ever came out.
Oh damn! Yeah, that used to happen a lot in the 90s.
Yeah, it was called Fresh Lime or something. Movie, yeah. I don't think it ever came. I asked him also. I don't think that movie released. That was the only film set we went on. So I didn't know anything about the way like movies are shot, what the angles are, where the light comes from. Like Tiger used to literally move me in the middle of shots to like take light and to hit my mark and stuff. And different wide shot kya hota hai, close up kya hota hai. I didn't know anything. So I learned all of that on Student of the Year. But now I'm very like technical as an actor.
And what was this workshop?
And Gehraiyan was more, we did a lot of intimacy workshops because that film, we had an intimacy coordinator, and that was one of the first few films in India that did bring on board an
intimacy. Which is like a legit profession now.
Yeah, and now it's, I think like every film that has intimacy is, they're getting in intimacy coordinator. So we had a lot of those, because we were meant to go up together. So
what really happens with an intimacy coordinator? Like,
honestly, it's just to make you feel comfortable with each other, and it's about consent. A lot of like, is it okay if I touch you here? Is it okay if I, because that's something that we take for granted a little bit, and it's very important. And after going through that process, now I'm realizing that it's a must on every set, because sometimes you're meeting people for the first time, perhaps, and you're doing it in front of hundreds of people. So your comfort is also very important.
It's a close set though, usually, right? If it's an intimate shot.
Sometimes I would say Gehraiyan was a close set, but then there have also been instances when there aren't.
And you have to be comfortable regarding. I have to tell you the story. Like very recently, it happened to me. We went to a shoot of a series somewhere outside London, and Joe Russo was the director, the Russo brothers, as it were, Avengers. Yeah. And we were going to meet him, and he was shooting, and the door opens, and there is Priyanka Chopra in her bathrobe. And I'm like, whoa, and it was a close set, they didn't tell us this, she just come out of a shower. But it's amazing how comfortable she felt with that many people inside, and I thought that only a great actor can do.
But you have to, you have to kind of just forget that there are people beyond a certain time. You can't.
And you forget that there are that many people in front of you.
Now, like even this camera clicking sound has become like I can't hear it anymore.
When they say ACP, doesn't matter to you,
no. Now it's just become, you have to, because otherwise you're going to be so hyper aware all the time. You're going to be so conscious. And I think I was a very conscious actor at the start. Like when I started out, I was very aware of every expression I would make. I was a little reserved. I would be scared to kind of experiment or try to do different things. And I think
So you would like rattle your lines and do it as well as you can, rather than feel comfortable enough to like be spontaneous.
I was like that because I'm also, the way I was in school, I'm a big, teacher's pet. I never want to make a mistake. I never want to get into trouble. So I was very diligent. I would do everything that I was told to do. I would never...
Like practice at home and come.
Yeah, and I wouldn't have really a mind of my own. Like if Puneet in Student of the Year was like, do this, I'd be like, okay, whatever you say. But Shakun told me on Gehraiyan that you're not always going to have someone who's going to tell you what to do, so you have to kind of develop it for yourself. So that's what I think changed on Gehraiyan, where I kind of realized that, okay, I have my own voice, I have to contribute. And even if it's wrong, if they say, no, we don't want to do it, it's fine. At least you try.
At least you have a take.
And Shakun would do that. He would give us one take for love. He'd say one for love, where we could just do whatever we felt like doing. And many of that stayed in the film also. And a lot of directors I've worked with that, even Vikram sir, would be like, okay, now do it the way you want to do it. So yeah.
No, like in your case, I think Vikramaditya Motwane would be the most experienced director you work with. I mean, he's been around for years. I mean, even way before his first film, which would be 2010. But he'd been in the movies for even way before that.
He was on Devdas, Hum Dil De Chuke
was like 94.
I wasn't even born.
You weren't born, exactly. So when you go into a set like that, everything changes. Is that very different from the others that you'd worked with?
Yeah, I mean, I've worked, like even Puri sir, who made Ligo, he's I think made some 100 films.
That's
true, so he was also very, very, of course, very experienced, and that was
a different kind of filmmaker.
Yeah, and that's a different kind of set. But with Vikram sir, even though he's so experienced and he's done so much work.
Can you say Vikram? I mean, like in our office, we call everyone by their first name.
I call everyone sir and ma'am until they ask me not to.
Okay. Like, and he's never asked you not to.
I think I say Vic sir. So, you know, it's like a little like, but I call everyone sir and ma'am. Even Karan I used to call sir, and he's like, please, Karan was like, I'm not an uncle, you can't call me sir. So Karan doesn't let me call him sir, but I call everyone sir and ma'am. But Vikram, I'll call him Vikram now because he's not here. So he's
watching.
Okay, Vikram sir, what I love about him actually is that even though he's done so much work, he's always challenging himself because this is a format that he has never done before. So even he was learning
like every single film of his is very, very different from the last one.
Which I love because there's
he's also learning.
Yeah, and there's no chapa that he's repeating something or doing something again and again. Every film you can't put it into the same box, you know. They're obviously all fantastic films.
Obviously to the viewers, we're talking about this movie called, so I say Ctrl or should I say CTRL?
Control.
So so he never does CTRL C plus CTRL X. Control V, Control X is when you do chapa.
I'm very... copy paste basically.
Copy paste,
he doesn't do that. And he was also learning.
I felt very clever
I was like, wow, this tech... Everyone thinks I'm Gen Z and I know all these technology things.
No, it's not Gen Z at all. It's computer,
So he was also learning on this film because he was also discovering, okay, how is the AI thing going to work? How are we going to shoot this? So everything was a learning process. And then to see a man who's at his level still coming down to our level and learning with us was so fascinating to watch. Yeah.
I mean, it's incredible. That movie, if I'm not mistaken, was shot over 16 days.
And
it's had a post-production of 16 months.
That
is nuts.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Because everything. So when you're actually shooting a film like that, you have no clue how it's going to turn out, right?
So actually, I think Vikram did his best to make it as real as possible. So even though it's so post heavy, we never actually used green screens. Like we actually, so the way it was shot was I had an iPhone in my hand, which I could see the other characters. Like, so if Vihan, I was talking to him on FaceTime, he would actually be in another room and actually calling me on FaceTime. So it wasn't like, oh, there was some AD reading out lines and I had to, you know, make believe or pretend that I was talking to Vihan.
That's amazing.
I actually FaceTimed him. And then there'd be another iPhone stuck to the iPhone that I was holding to get a clear picture of me without, you know, an HD quality thing. Because obviously then it's going to be rendered for the big screen. So that.
So it's actually an iPhone that's capturing you.
There's an iPhone capturing me and there's an iPhone which I'm actually talking. So there's two iPhones glued to each other and I had to hold those phones for like 20-30 minutes because the takes would be so... I did on...
Those iPhones are...
They're very heavy actually. I take selfies for 1-2 seconds and I get tired, but for 20 minutes I was holding the phone because it was all one take, you know, there was no coverage because there's no close-up wide and all. It's all shot in one go. And even when Apar Shakti is the voice of Alan, who's the AI character, so it was so advanced the technology that Apar Shakti would be sitting in another room and in real time they were converting him into an AI. So I was always talking to the AI. It was a different version.
Like an emoji version of him that you're seeing.
Not him. Actually, Vikram had made me and some of the girls in the office make that AI. So they were like, okay, what qualities do you want in a man? So we all designed one version of the AI, which is not the final version in the film. So I was actually talking to a proper AI and it was a voice of Apar.
Wow.
So everything was very realistic. So it was not like anything was left to imagination or I had to pretend. It was all actually happening.
And you were part of the process of designing that AI.
Yeah.
Which is great, right? Because in the sense that in some ways, especially with this movie, but a couple of them before this as well, you are not just the actor in the film, Ananya. You're also someone who understands that world better than perhaps the director who's making it. Vikram would not know this world as well as you do on your own.
And that's another great thing about him is he always was first
to
admit
research.
That. Yeah, and he was the first to admit that, you know, I don't know about the way, you know, social media influencers are. I don't know how this world works. So that's why he actually took me on the writer's retreat with him. So he and our writer Avinash were going to Goa with Sumukhi, who did the dialogues. Sumukhi Suresh, she's a comedian.
Yes.
Fantastic. So they were going to Goa to write the film and he called me for one day actually to sit in on those discussions and contribute. So actually her name was Nella and then I said her name should actually be something else. It should actually be Nalini and she changes her name to kind of be cool and to fit in.
So like Bae and
Bella.
Yeah.
Actually, now in hindsight, everything seems so similar, but it didn't feel like that when I was shooting both the projects. But yeah, so he always wanted to know everyone's opinion and he involved everyone a lot in the process.
No, I'm actually still interested in the stuff that you've been through for the transformation that took place in your professional life, in your career, as it were. Like, one was the intimacy coordinator. The second is, of course, working with the writers, even designing AI. I came across one conversation of yours where you're talking about working with Atul Mongia, for instance.
Yes.
What was that about?
Amazing. I've worked with Atul so quite a bit. I worked with him on Gehraiyan and I worked with him on Kho Gaye Hum Kahan. And on this film, we had Nidhi Bisht, who's an actor herself. She's in this show called Mamla Legal Hai, which is really, popular. So we worked with her to get, because basically my character Nella in the film is from Delhi, and the way they talk is a little different. They're a little more khulla.
Your mom's from Delhi, na?
My mom's from Delhi.
You could have got that.
But she shifted when she was
Bombay
20. Now she's more Bombay than even me. But yeah. But I did actually speak to my grandparents, still live in Delhi, and my Masis and stuff. But she actually, Nidhi, really helped me open up a lot more and be a lot more confident and khulla in the way that I was talking, because I can be a little, I won't say shy, but a little softer.
Right.
And with Atul sir, he makes you very present because he focuses a lot on the breath. Before every class, there's a meditation that happens, and he goes very deep into each emotion. And it's also fun to do it with other actors because you get to know your co-stars really well, because he makes you open up and talk about experiences in your life. Like
your own life experiences.
Yeah, like I learned so much about Dhairya and Sid and Deepika when we were just talking in Gehraiyan, which probably would never have come up if we were just, chatting in a room.
Yeah.
But he really forced us to dive in deeper. And I've also worked with Pooja and Sheena, who are brilliant actors. I worked with them for a film of mine that's going to come out in theaters, and they were also with us on Kho Gaye Hum Kahan. But they help you a lot with physicality, like movement and improvisation and stuff.
What about voice? In that same conversation, I came across how you learned to change your voice.
My voice has, I think, automatically just gotten deeper. I think with age, it's become a little, everyone's like, what's happened to your throat? I was like, no, I think now my voice is just a little bassier. Like, I was dubbing for Bae that day and I couldn't do her higher notes. Like, she was like, Tiros, and my voice was not going that high anymore. And I dubbed for the Hindi version of Inside Out 2. I was Riley's character, and she's like a 12-year-old girl. And I was like, guys, you all missed me by a year because my voice has finally broken. I've hit puberty at 25 and now I don't sound like a little girl anymore. So voice, I've worked with a lot of voice coaches. Actually, I worked with Vikas. He has a company called Strictly Speaking, I think. So in the next film that I'm doing, which has not been announced and I cannot talk about it,
but it's
I have a dialect.
I'm
very excited because I have a dialect also in that. So I worked with I work with voice coaches also quite often.
Right. No, so what did you do to get the voice right in terms of the transformation?
I
like breathe.
I think breathing helps a lot. Just also their vocal exercises also. So that stuff that opens up your vocal cords. So I have this 20-minute this exercise.
I'm fascinated because I was watching this conversation with Arijit Singh, and he was talking about how his voice, he worked on it and his voice is not the same anymore.
Yeah.
He just doesn't sound
because
like how it started earlier. So it can be done. I didn't know that.
Because it's a muscle. You're training a muscle, in your vocal cords. So I have a 20-minute exercise that I do when I'm shooting films, which there's you have to keep doing these different drills.
Do it now.
There's now I've not done it in so long, but there's and la 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 la. You have to do these different kind of exercises, and also to open up your mouth, because you need to warm up sometimes in the morning, just open all the muscles out. So I do this one routine.
But when you were doing all those things that you've seen in the movies, for the camera turned towards you, the selfie before selfie, is there a movie that you were so fond of that you'll always do before the camera, like a dialogue or something?
I would say a lot of Main Apni Favorite Hoon, a lot of Bebo's lines. Now when I watch K3J, I can just say all of the lines because I think I've seen it 100 times. But yeah, that way I would do Crazy Kiya Re, and I would do all the Dhoom. I was obsessed with Dhoom 2. It was my favorite movie.
So the song, you mean?
Yeah, the song. I would do Crazy Kiya Re, the song. So yeah.
How would you do it?
Like that I would do it.
That didn't look convincing at all, my friend.
It was not.
It wasn't. Coming back to Call Me Bae, right? I just watched it recently.
Yes.
And I have to say it's one of those shows that grows on you. The first 3 episodes, I'm like, God, was good. No, it's just not for me.
Okay.
I just not the target group.
Watched it.
No, because I was going to meet you, so I thought I must watch Call Me Bae. And there's a switch that happens, I think, towards the end of the 3rd episode.
Yeah, when it goes
and I think
into that
especially when you go into that whole world of journalism, and there is a whole satire, which is beautiful, unmissable in its own way. What did you think of the show yourself?
That's the kind of show that I would love watching as an audience, even if I wasn't a part of it. And that's the first thing that draws me to projects, when I'm hearing something or reading something for the first time, will I want to watch this as an audience is very important for me. To, kind of, that's a big reason why I do things. And I love that the show, with all its fluff and all its lightness and humor, it was actually saying something at the end of the day. And also it aligned with my moral beliefs as a person very strongly, because sometimes as an actor, you're told not to speak up too much, or this, that, don't be political, don't say this, don't say that. But I think when you can do it with your work, it's so beautiful when it kind of...
That's true. You have that voice already, right? I mean, you don't need to be...
And it reaches so many people.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is very different from, say, a social media influencer, which is what you played in Me Bae, which is what you played in Ctrl or Ctrl, as it were, which is in some ways what you've played in Kho Gaye Hum Kahan as well.
Everyone's been calling it this trilogy of these technology movies, and it wasn't the plan. But I think just being like a part of this generation and being like a young Gen Z girl, these things are very attractive to me to talk about topics like this, because I feel like no one really is, and it's a very underrepresented part. We don't see much of this in cinema, and right now honestly technology is like a third character in all of our lives.
Right.
So it's important to talk about these things as well.
What do you make of the social media influencer culture yourself? I mean, we're all, literally everyone who's watching this, everyone who's in this room, we're all addicted to the screen. We're just like randomly scrolling. Any rando comes up, we just keep looking. I have no idea how many hours go, and it's impossible to make sense of it in this time frame, as it were. I'm sure many years later we can look back and make some sense. What do you make of influencers in general?
It's a job, like it's a full-time job, and I think it also deserves the respect, because I've played one in this film, and I know how tough it is to constantly be recording content. Like, you can never be fully present in a moment, because you signed up to publicly put every part of your life out there. Like my cousin sister Alana, she's an influencer, and so is her husband, and they've recorded every moment from when they met, to moving houses, to her proposal, to her getting married, to her finding out she's pregnant, to giving birth. All of it is recorded, and it is a commitment, and there's a lot of sacrifices that also go in, and you're opening your entire life up to judgment. Like, as an actor, we don't have to be so public about everything. People find out, but we are not coming and saying so much about our lives. We can also choose to be private. But being an influencer is like a proper job.
So that's a lot similar to what you play in Ctrl in that case, right? Like, there is like this since the time that you actually met till your breakup.
Everything. And I did take a lot of inspiration from the videos that Alana and I make.
Like, in what sense?
Like, in terms of like, okay, how are they on screen, how are they off screen, what do people like about seeing a couple together, So even if you might not be like, and I'm not saying this is about Alana and Ivo, but I'm saying in general also, it's very fascinating. Like, okay, we may not do PD in real life, but in front of the camera, people like that. If we hold hands, or if we like, do something cute, but in real life, we may not be like that at all. So I think just that switch on, switch off, I found really interesting.
It's a bit scary too, right?
It's very scary, because you don't really know anyone.
You don't know what is real anymore, right?
And also I read this review that Rahul Desai wrote today about the film, and he was talking about how it's very interesting, but in the film, when she finds out that he cheated on her, instead of taking a second and reacting on her own, Nella knew she was being recorded. So the reaction she has also, you almost don't know if she did it for the views, if she did something so big and going and hitting him with that paper rock. You don't know if she did it for the views or if it was actually her anger. So there's such a like a blurred line between...
Like, also, like, the moment that she loses that relationship, I think the first thing that she thinks of the fact is that, this is the job.
I'm going to lose my channel and my money and my partnership. And that doesn't make her a bad person, but she has to think like that, because that's where her money is coming from, and otherwise her parents are going to call her back to Delhi and she's going to have to,
Are you addicted to these influencers yourself? Like, do you like sort of keep scrolling once in a while?
I'm addicted to my phone in general.
Okay.
Like, it's a part of my body. It's behind me, and it's just a very bad habit.
Is there anyone that you follow? Because the other fear is to be really popular, because I don't know what you're doing. So many of them are thirst traps. You can become irrelevant in some 3 years' time. People might just get bored of you because you're doing the same thing.
And actually, we don't know where it's going to go. Like, after a few years, like, what's the long-term plan? No one really knows, because we're the first generation that's doing it. I follow all. I'm very into like watching cooking videos, even though I can't cook. So there's this girl called Nara Aziza. I don't know if she's amazing. She does these like, she makes everything from scratch. Like, she makes like bubble gum from scratch. Like, anything she wants to eat, she makes it like from scratch, which I find really fascinating. So I really like, because the way she talks also, and you can like, it's very ASMR-ish, the way she cooks.
What's ASMR?
It's like, I don't know what the full form is,
Google this,
but it's like when people go really like close to the mic and they like make these like sounds and people find it very satisfying, like, you know, a zip opening or like chopping. People really like feel calm when they hear these sounds.
Right. So we've spoken about Call Me Bae, we've spoken about, of course, Control. There was Gehraiyan that we spoke about briefly as well. And there's Kho Gaye Hum Kahan. I think there are 4 things. These are 4 movies that are like the new Ananya Panday, as it were. You know, in just 5 years, Ananya Panday 2.0, ACP 2.0. Yes. It sounds like some kind of software. What's common between them is, of course, great music. All these pieces of content I'm saying, because Call Me Bae is not a film, the great music.
Yeah.
So, well, shout out to the musicians who worked on it.
And all fresh talent. Like at that time, Oaf and Savera blew up right after, you know, Gehraiyan. Even with Call Me Bae, like the Wake Sonia track, Charan and Bombay the Artist, they blew up after, and they're all fresh voices, which I'm really quite proud of.
Even actors, right? I mean, I love the person who plays Sarah in
Muskan Jaffrey.
Yeah, she's lovely. She's such a fresh talent, and maybe I'm sure she's been around, but I hadn't noticed her before.
She was in Mismatched also.
The first one as well?
Yeah, she was in both.
Okay, I probably forgot.
She's Prajakta's roommate.
Got it.
But she's amazing, and she actually, it was all in the writing in Call Me Bae. Like, none of us improvised that much, but she improvised a lot because she has such a strong command over the language. So she actually, like this Behan Code, she made it.
Oh, really?
She made that sign, yeah. Because the line was always there, hashtag Behan Code, but people were like, oh, we want to do something fun with it, you know, like, so that it stays in people's mind. And then she was like, oh, why don't we do this? And it became, like, random people pass me by and they start doing this. I'm like, oh, wow.
That's when you know you're a star, because you know that there's being responded to in other ways. I think the other thing that's common between all these 4 pieces of content, okay, maybe another thing that's different about Call Me Bae is how strongly the female gaze comes across. All the men seem like just jocks in that show. And it's all the women who have all the character, you know, they have...
It's about time.
It's about time, I guess. It is what it is. I'm not to say that this becomes better or either. I mean, you know, men can also have great roles.
Course. And I feel like, I don't think that they were, I think they were all green flags, which is very rare. We don't, not all of them, but they all, like Gurfateh's character, even Varun Sood's character was like, they're all green flags.
No, I mean, they're not dumb or anything. They're
just nice
jocks.
People, like men like that can also exist, just nice and supporting the women around them. I think it also makes a difference because Ishita, a female writer, has written it. So it's the way that women also possibly want men to
this is what they've been longing to see on screen. Now they can write it because that option exists. And the thing that they always write for you when it comes to these 4 pieces of content, you always go through heartbreak.
I do. There's always some cheating or something happening. I'm like, why have I become this? Someone was joking yesterday, like how, you know, Salman sir's signatures that he takes his shirt off in every film. Now my signature is like, Arey, she's gotten cheated on in this film. So I don't want that to be my signature.
How did you deal with your last heartbreak whenever it happened?
I deal with it pretty normally, like anyone would. You have to just feel whatever you're feeling. I don't think you should like stop yourself from feeling anything because it's going to pile up eventually and it might affect you in your next relationship or some other time in life, you know. So you have to kind of just go with all the emotions, talk it out, cry, eat how much ever you want to eat, get it all out of your system, and then life moves on.
Right, because I'm interested in your struggles now. You know, one of the things that became huge with respect to you, not so much with respect to your work per se, was that one video where you did a round table and there's Siddhant Chaturvedi sitting next to you, and I mean, he had a cracker line, all right, about, you know,
I think he'd written it from home and come. The way he said it, I was like, it's a notebook he's hidden and written this line.
आगे मेरा मौका भी बोल देता हूँ. What is it? जहाँ हमारी dream खत्म होती है, आपके struggle शुरू होती है. And I think what you said before that, which I don't know whether it got talked about enough, was also legit in the sense that, you know, you're talking about your father, Chunky Panday, the fact that he had his own struggles, the fact that his father was a surgeon, he would have known no one in Bollywood, as it were, you know, made his own like name for himself. And that's legit too, right? Because that's a lot of people's story and that's something that you've seen.
No, I think from the very moment I joined the industry, like, I think our first thing was Coffee with Karan when we all came on Coffee with Karan, and Karan asked me a question. I'm very vocal about saying that, yes, I have had, you know, the front
foot in the door.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And after a point, I think your work speaks and people have to still like you on screen and watch you, because there have been many cases where people have come from film families and they've not been successful because they've not resonated
Far too many
with
of those
the
cases,
audience.
actually.
There have been many of those as well. And then there have been people from the outside who've done extremely well. So I think it's a very, dividing thing, which I don't like, insiders, outsiders. Like, we're all part of one industry and we should all support each other and give love to each other, because the industry and the people have given us so much. So I'm really like, I don't know why we're creating these lines and these borders. And actually what you're saying, what I was saying before that, before Sid said his line, was that everyone...
His scripted line.
His line. And Sid and I, honestly, like, I can joke about this and tell him to his face, because everyone's made it seem like there's some feud, but I've worked with him so much. We've done 2 movies together and he's one of my closest friends in the industry, honestly. But yeah, I think everyone... everyone has a different story. Everyone gets to a point in a different way. Like, people would think that people who live in Bombay have an advantage of people who don't live in Bombay.
They have no rents to pay.
Exactly. So there's so many different things that someone has better and someone doesn't. So yeah, you can keep going on about it.
No, the what I wanted to chat with you about was, that's my sense of having like covered this field over almost 2 decades now, is that there is, I think, a sense of like, there is old money, there is such a thing as old fame. And what I mean by that is that there are times when you can see, when you've seen something very closely, you also don't lose your mind. Like, in the sense that you've seen, say, Shah Rukh Khan closely, but you've also seen Chunky Panday closely, right? And you've seen his ups and downs, where if fame suddenly happens to you, you're not going to lose your mind because you know how it works, right? Is that something that you've been conscious of? You've seen it very closely? Of course, Shah Rukh Khan is another story.
I know.
He's an outlier in every way.
As you said, like, I've seen Shah Rukh's also, who's come from the outside and he's the king, I've seen that, and I've seen how he's dealt with fame so normally. The way he was at home with all of us was... we didn't even realize until he went and stood outside Mannat and we saw those thousands of people come fast. It was always like, someone who's like a father figure and who's taught us how to run in our sports days and practice our taekwondo with us. Yeah, and he was a very involved and present parent. The way he is with Suhana and Abram and Aryan is amazing. He's one of the best fathers.
He finds that time. That's pretty amazing.
And even Suhana always says that even though he shoots for like 12, 16 hours, he'll always come home and spend time with his children and involved in their, college admissions and their homework and everything. I remember, seeing him like that. And he's still like that, very, very involved in all of our lives, honestly. Like, any problem that I'm facing, I can talk to him about it, and he's just very non-judgmental. Like, you
just text him, or?
I don't text him, but I'll see him in person, or, I'll call him or something and speak to him about it.
What do you call him?
I call him SRK.
SRK?
Yeah, he's very cool.
Not even sir there.
I call him Shah Rukh Khan.
Vikram sir, but
SRK. I call him, like, he likes, being like in our
cool
gang, and for us, he's always going to be SRK. But I also call him Shah Rukh Uncle, but I call him Shah Rukh sir in a work and professional environment, of course. What was I saying? And as you said, I've also seen my dad at home because he was a huge star before I was born. I would only hear stories about Tezab and Vishwatma and Aankhein and Paki Dunya. He was huge.
Incredible.
But when I was born was kind of his like lower period when he wasn't getting...
I think he had his run between, I would think, late 80s to mid 90s, and you were born 98. So
exactly. So he was not doing those central characters, and he kind of became a character actor after that, and he started doing negative roles and comedy and all of that stuff. But I've always seen him like get up and work. Like, for him, work is the most important thing, and he'll do everything and anything. He just loves working, and that's an amazing attitude.
I mean, by the time you were born, and this is what we used to hear because I've not seen those films, he became a star in Bangladesh.
Yeah.
He moved to Bangladesh and he became a legend movie star. I don't even know if it's true because I've not met some...
It is.
Yeah, right?
This. Yeah. No, I've met a lot of people from Bangladesh and they keep talking about my father, so I think it's true.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
The other person, and right now I'm talking about you growing up, is Chikki Panday, okay? So Chikki Panday and I actually knew each other many years ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we were friends. I don't know how we became friends. I think I do know my uncle, who was a top cop, and and were friends.
Yeah.
And then I realized, for the little time I spent with him, he seems to know everyone in Bombay.
He knows
everyone. Everyone knows him. It's bizarre.
Yeah.
Tell me more about Chikki Panday. Firstly, how are they Chikki and Chunky? This can't be real names, right?
Even I don't know, because every time I ask them, it's not their real name. It's like my dad's name is Suyash and my uncle's name is Alok.
Okay.
And
they just don't like Alok and Suyash.
But I've asked them, and every time I ask them, their story changes of why their names. So that I don't believe.
So it's not like a ghar ka naam given by the parents?
It was.
It was.
My dad claims that he was like a little, chunky growing up. That's why. But I've seen pictures and he was like a stick growing up. So I don't know what he's talking about. And my chachu's like, oh, he loved eating chikki. But these are fake stories. I think it's just something my grandmother.
You can't be born and start eating chikki anyway.
Yeah.
And that's when you're named. So.
I don't know where these names have come from, but it is their name. But I wish I also had like a fun name,
You don't have a ghar ka naam?
No. Not like my dad calls me, my mom, and my sister Wazzy, and I think that's because
Wazzy.
I don't know where it comes from, what it.
And all three have the same name for
him.
him.
And he calls our dogs also Wazzy.
What?
And I think it's because he doesn't want to remember our names, or he keeps forgetting our names. So he's just like a blanket Wazzy for everyone.
He's the akhri pasta, He can do what he likes.
He can do whatever he wants, and he does do whatever.
He does whatever he likes. It's incredible. I was once seeing like a post of his where he's in Canada and people are paying money to just see him. And like, what a thing to do. He shows up in some country and people will just see his face.
Yeah.
He can make money anywhere, na?
Yeah.
How cool is that?
Yeah,
How cool is that?
Very cool.
So tell me more about Chikki.
I don't know what to say. He's really funny. I think actually Chikki Chachu is like the funniest person in our family because my sister's reality show also dropped today, The Tribe on Amazon. So they're sitting.
It's called The Tribe?
The Tribe.
I'm going to check it out.
Yeah.
The couple,
influencer,
the influencer couple, right?
Ahan and Alana, my Chachu's kids. So there's like everyone sitting and discussing Alana's wedding, and then my Chachu just looks at Alana and she's wearing like a tube top sort of thing, and he's like, Alana, I think you've forgotten your clothes, your shirt. And they're all having like a serious conversation about her wedding, and he's saying this on like television, I guess. So yeah, he's really funny and he knows everyone.
It's incredible. Like, I think anybody who needs something done, they call Chikki Panday in Bollywood.
Yeah.
And that's the sense I got by just having like a few conversations with him. Like, man, who are you? Like, what are you made of? And then there's your mom.
That's my mom.
That everyone got to see thanks to, Bollywood Live's show. There is a stereotype of a Bollywood mom.
Yeah.
And it's been, it's not a new thing. It's been over generations. Mummy G, of course. Earlier, Mummy G would always walk with the heroine. She'd be part of every meeting. But usually, tiger moms. I mean, you hear stories about Priyanka Chopra's mom. She's supposed to be a hardcore tiger mom, sort of pushing her career. There is Kareena Kapoor's mom. There's no doubt about it. She's the one really pushing. She's spoken about it on this series. Is your mom like that?
I think at that time also it was required because there were very few women on a set. So I think also in a safety standpoint, you did need someone who's protective about you and there and looking out for you.
Yeah.
Now actors are protected with so much machinery, with like PR and people traveling with them and managers. There's people who are looking out for them.
But that entourage, right?
Who's going to look out more for you than your family at the end of the day? So I think it was very important for Mummy G's to be there on set that time. My mom is involved. But in certain things, and I like her to be involved, because I feel like she has a very good script sense also. So even I tell her, I ask her to read some of my scripts because I'm interested in, and we also kind of are similar in the way that we think. My dad, I've asked.
Your dad must be like watching some really crazy ass movies,
He watches a lot of films, but he never reads. I keep sending him my scripts to read. Everyone's like, your dad must be really giving you solid advice. I'm like, no, he's not. I'm begging him to give me some advice. But no, he's only, giving his one-liners and
like
all
what?
That. Like he says, like the industry is like a cricket match. You could hit a 6 on every Friday, or you could get out with the next ball. And also, he's saying all these.
And he's seen that, right?
Yeah, he has exactly.
So he knows what
he's seen all of that.
Yeah.
So my mom and me are very similar in the way we think, and she's also very good at like social. She's actually better than me at social.
Yeah?
So she looks into like Twitter and all of those things, and so she's quite involved. But I like her to be involved.
Right, like you would like bounce off ideas with her and things like that. As against her actively being around you wherever you go.
Yeah.
It would have been great to have her here, though. Of course, it would have been amazing.
Yeah.
In case you're watching this, that's a
she will be watching it. A few times.
But the other thing that I want to know from you, because there's the acting part of it, and that's an important aspect of your career. The other thing is actually the media part of it, right? You spoke about the company that will sort of manage you. They'll look after you. They'll make sure that you're sort of taken care of. There is the media that you have to constantly face. There's the social media that's also a profile that nobody needed to have before. Did you go through any training for that? Like, did they put you through? I think everyone should. Like, I know one of the major movie stars' kid was making a debut, and a friend of mine actually spent time with that person to just train them to how to be in a press conference or a trailer launch or how to do a one-on-one interview. Did Did you go through it?
We didn't have this training. I feel like now I'm noticing, now I feel like I'm sounding very old. But
No,
I was gonna
you
say
literally started 5 years ago.
The kids coming in now, but 5 years ago
It
doesn't
feels
seem
long, right?
but it feels like a lot has happened since then. Like when the year that we debuted, it was right before COVID, and that was the last few years where they had those big award functions, and then it felt like those 2 years of COVID, none of it is ever going to come back. So it feels like another time only when we debuted.
And there is a pre-pandemic, post-pandemic world. There's no
huge
denying
change
that.
in the way people are consuming content, the kind of movies that people are watching, the way people are going into cinemas. Are they going? Are they not going? What kind of films are they going in for? So a lot has changed since then. But I do feel like now the new current lot that's coming in, I'm seeing
Batch
them
of
be
24.
Yeah, I'm seeing them a lot more trained and a lot more aware of like how to talk to the media. You think I was trained? Have you seen this kind of things I've said in interviews?
Like what?
Like this whole, like if I was trained, I would really think before I talk. I would, like say something. I talk rubbish.
Really?
Yeah. And once I start talking, I don't stop talking.
But you've been amazing so far. There's not one
thank
pop that I wish there was. I wish there was a reel that could just like make this
There'll be
conversation.
something, don't
there
worry.
Will be something, you think?
Something or the other will come out. Be rest assured. But Karan was very helpful with that.
I know. He's the freaking media king.
Yeah. He really sat and spent a lot of time with me and Tara to tell us how to not deal with the media, but just how to conduct ourselves and stuff. Yeah.
Like what did he tell you, if you can remember?
I think he always told me to just be candid about everything. Like when we were going on coffee with Karan, he told me to own and speak up about the journey that I've had and to not be like, oh, don't ask me this and stuff. Because I was like, I don't know the right thing to say, because what is the right thing to say? But he was like, no, just be honest, be real, be candid. And he's always said that to me. Yeah.
It's amazing to be real, honest, candid. Ananya Panday, who are you dating right now? You just said you've been trained
but I'm also
to be
being
candid
mysterious.
in everything.
I'm being mysterious now.
Oh, you're being mysterious.
Yeah.
The mystique suddenly.
Yeah, suddenly.
After 25 million followers on Instagram,
Only this
you want to be
question, I'm mysterious now. So now this is my new thing that I'm trying out.
So your debut was 2019.
Yeah.
But I was looking up about you online, and it says you made some debut in 2017 with the Paris Debutantes Ball. I'm sorry to sound very middle class, but what on earth is this Paris debut? What happens in this ball? Because I think we saw portions of it in Bollywood Lives as well, right?
Yeah.
What exactly?
For Shanaya.
Yeah. What is the Debutantes Ball?
Even I didn't know what it was, and when we got the email to go for that, my mom thought someone was playing a prank on her. But she's there now, Paris and stuff.
Like Vanity Fair does it, or what is it?
It's I think. I mean, I'm quite bad with all these things, but it's in Paris only they organize, and Vanity Fair covers it, and lots of But I think what they do is what I really liked about it is because I didn't study abroad, so I never really had a chance to meet people from different parts of the world. Like now my sister studies in New York, and she gets to interact so much with people. Like
that's true. That's something that you do miss.
And I never had that. So I feel like this really, made me meet a lot of people, a lot of girls. So they pick, I think, 20 girls from all over the world.
So is it like a Jane Austen kind of thing? Like, the suitors will meet that...
So it's not. I took my brother as my date for this ball, and there they kind of mix you up and they make you like meet people. So one of my friends,
speed dating. What is it?
It's nothing. Nothing happened. It's just very sweet. You hold the guy with me was some prince of Switzerland or something, which I found out later. So it's very sweet and we were all 17 and very quiet and nice and sweet. And and like they're all still friends. Reese Witherspoon's daughter Ava was there. Steve Harvey's daughter Laurie was there. And we're all still in touch, like we all still talk. So it actually made me meet a lot of friends. And for me, it was the first time I was doing something facing the camera, taking pictures, dressing up, getting my hair and makeup done. I'd never done it. So it was also like a mini training thing for me at that time.
I still don't know what it is.
Even I can't.
Did you actually dance at the thing?
We did a waltz. And
class. You get to choose who?
I did it with my brother and I did it with my dad, because you have to have like a father's dance. Us training, we were so bad. Imagine my dad doing the waltz. It was so funny. Me and Ahan and my dad, we used to practice, and he's like done some spin and some drop with me. He was like really, my dad's a very big, like if there's a camera, he will start pushing me and performing. Like he just wants to be the main star and everything.
What's your sister like?
She's like...
Who just moved to New York,
she's at Tisch in New York. and she wants
What's
to...
she reading? That's an art school, right?
It's a film school.
Yeah,
so she wants to be a filmmaker, but she also wants to do something in fashion.
I think I checked her up online on Instagram, and she's food critic.
She has a food instinct, not critic, but she's
no, that's her bio.
Yeah.
She's a food critic.
Really?
Yeah. Check it out. Like, you're a serial chiller.
Yeah.
I've done some stalking before coming here.
I must say,
You know, we just get away saying it's homework, right?
I'm very impressed, but I'm also a big stalker. It's fine. But she's very different from me. She's like much cooler. She's she knows a lot about like art and cinema, world cinema and fashion.
You who watch 2 Polish movies, you don't even know what they call. I think you watched Kieslowski or seen White, Blue. Everyone watches.
I did. I watched
trilogy of Kieslowski.
I watched Red.
You watched Red. There you go. Yeah,
I did watch Red. And you know, this is what the reel is going to be about. That I didn't know, because once I said something about that I hadn't watched Godfather, and everyone went after me. So now, yes, it was. I'd watched Red. Actually, I want to say that I remember the movie that I watched.
There you go. So if that reel goes out, then we'll have to attach this.
Also reel on the
because
side.
we had Alia Bhatt on the same series, and you know what? We asked her who the president of India is, and she still did not know. And that obviously became the reel. We can't even. But you know what's really cool about her? She could have called up and said, "Listen, you know what? Can you not? You know, it's okay. Own yourself." And she's another from the Karan Johar school, right?
I guess it's
student of the year 1, and you're student of the year 2.
Yeah, we are. And I mean, I'm the biggest
There's some academy
fan.
You guys are coming out from.
Everyone's like,
becoming
which college did you go to? I was like, I went to St. Teresa and student of the year 2. That was the college that I went to. But I'm the biggest Alia Bhatt fan. So I mean, to even be in the same like school as her, as you said, is a big thing for me.
Is that what's happening here? Like some sort of a generational, although she's not that much older than you, right?
No, she's a couple of
she's
years
just like an overachiever.
I mean, and she started out younger than me. Like if I started at 18, she started at 17. So now she's been working. And I remember the moment I saw her in Student of the Year. I'll never forget.
Okay.
We were at some screening of Student of the Year, and we were like, I think it came 10 years to 2012, if I'm not wrong. So 2012 it came, and I was 14 or 13 at that time, and there were no seats in the theater, so I was sitting on the floor. And I remember she came on screen as Shanaya, and I was like, I want to be her.
Oh, really?
I just wanted to be her. Yeah.
Because she's herself like a debutant in the movie. It's not like she's killing it.
But I just loved her. I think the thing about Alia is that she's very relatable. She's obviously a fantastic actor, and as you only said, she's very real. Like owns her mistakes. You know, she's amazing off screen. She's candid. She's cool. She's not afraid to admit that she's wrong or she's made mistakes. But she's always grown, and she's really shut people up with her work, and it's been amazing.
But when you were growing up and when you were doing all those dialogues, and was there someone you had in mind? Karina, you said.
Yeah.
It was just Karina.
I love Preeti. I love
Preeti Zinta.
Yeah.
From where?
From Kal Ho Na Ho.
Okay.
Yeah, and Veer Zara.
Right.
I loved her, and she was so like cute and bubbly, and her dimples and all. I really liked her. Rani ma'am, Lolo. I used to love Lolo. I have a picture of Lolo in my vanity van stuck on the mirror. There's a picture of her and Salman, and my favorite who on my vanity.
In your current vanity van?
Yeah. It's like what I see every morning before getting ready.
You do some puja before you start your day?
No, I just see it and I'm
20-minute breathing exercise that you do?
Yeah,
right? And then puja of Salman and Karina.
Yeah, love
and then
that.
you start
Lolo,
with
I have a picture of Lolo and Karina's line. My favorite.
Oh, your picture, yeah. Oh, Karishma.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay, that brings us towards the end of this conversation. What? Yeah, we can carry on.
We've really spoken. You didn't ask me about Orry.
I'm going to end this conversation with
because I saw this and I thought it said Orry, and I was like, you're big fans of Orry.
So it's not Orry. It's, I think, that's the short form of O'Reilly is Orly. I have no idea what the full form of Orry is. What is the full form of Orry?
His name is Orhan.
Orhan is his name.
Yeah.
The most profound question to be ever asked ever, because you're very close friends with him apparently.
Yeah.
And I don't mean in terms of who is he? I understand the phenomenon. It's not very different from what page 3 used to be. Instagram is the new page 3, right?
Yeah,
people are famous for being famous, and that's what
page
the
3.
influence. You remember page 3?
The movie also is
yeah,
the Madhu Bhandarkar.
Yeah.
Do you remember it?
Of course. I mean, listen.
But I love fashion and page 3, and I really like these. I love films and TV shows that have an insight into the industry. I find it very fascinating. Like Luck by Chance is
Luck by Chance,
my
right? Would be one of
favorite
those.
film. My favorite.
Which is your all-time favorite film?
Luck by Chance.
All time in life.
I mean, कुछ कुछ होता है, कभी खुशी कभी गम, Luck by Chance, ये जवानी है दीवानी, जाने तू या जाने ना.
Carry on.
I can hear some. These are my comfort movies.
Or maybe they're too old.
My favorite Zoya movie is Luck by Chance.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So as I said,
Orry.
You have to give us like a good 5-minute explanation, PowerPoint, if there is, on who is Orry.
You know, I've been friends with him for over 10 years
Okay, so
now.
where did you guys meet?
We met at Tryst, which is
A nightclub?
Yeah, we met at a party,
At a local
I think.
nightclub, yeah.
And he's always been this entertaining. And I really don't know what he does. And people
So
keep
you met him
asking
because, I mean, there are 1,000 people at that club.
We had common friends.
Who was the common friend?
I don't remember that time. I think Shanaya introduced us because Shanaya had met him before. But we've all like kind of...
So you guys are a gang, right? The girls gang, you, Shanaya and Suhana.
And Navya.
And are you all roughly the same age or?
Navya's the oldest.
Okay.
Then me, then Shanaya, then Suhana. We're all a year apart.
And this is like family friendship that's sort of become
Yeah,
like
they're like, I can't like not be friends with them. I don't have a choice. Like, we're like family, yeah.
And you have the same WhatsApp group, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Which
Charlie's
is called
Angels.
Charlie's Angels.
The one with Suhana, Shanaya's Charlie's Angels, and Navya, me, Suhana, Shanaya's called Ananya's Fans. I named it, obviously.
You named it.
Yeah.
You could have named it Ananyans, no? Your fans are called Ananyans?
Yeah.
Yeah? The onions over
yeah,
what?
Ananyans. It's so sweet.
What about Suhana? So let's just ask about Suhana before Orry, because Orry has to be kept for the last.
Yeah.
Because that's an education that the whole...
Which I have nothing
whole influencer
to
culture.
offer
You can't do 3 movies on influencer, social media influencer culture and not tell us who
But like,
Orry
okay,
is.
whatever Orry is doing is working for him. You know, no matter what it is, like he's working on himself. He's actually one of the smartest people I know. Because sometimes he talks about, just to do what he does, it takes a lot of planning.
How is he friends with every movie star there is?
Because we know him since before we were actors. Like
Okay.
he's known Janvi also when she was in LA, she was studying in LA.
So they would have met in
Sara
college.
and him were in the same class, like not in the same school, but they were in the same year. So we were all friends before we
So he
became
probably
actors.
studied abroad and made friends with...
No, he's a South Bombay boy. He went to Ctrl.
You're confusing me even more.
Really? Because
yeah,
ever
this should
since
be a
he's fallen
documentary, a
from
short
the
documentary. It
sky,
should not be
but
more than 5 minutes though.
I will make a documentary, a 5-minute quick documentary.
Quick reel,
on Orry.
that's it, that's all, yeah.
Yeah, and you will still not know. And I think that's that's the beauty of Orry, that no one knows.
I think we're just adding to the mystique, right?
I don't even know what his family looks like, and I've been friends with him for 10 years. So he's always going to be a mystery.
Suhana is not a mystery.
Suhana is not a mystery.
And of course, you saw the Archies. What did you think of the movie?
I loved it. I was sitting next to her actually. I got my seat was right next to her, and I was so happy to be at the premiere. And I was so happy to be like next to her on her premiere night. But she's such a special person, and she has so much to offer the world, and I can't wait for them to watch. But I really enjoyed the Archies. It was really cute.
It's amazing. Like there's a whole new generation, and they all seem to love each other, while they're also rivals or competitors in any field, right? I mean, Suhana would be roughly your age. I keep hearing about how you and Janvi are also friends.
Yeah,
is that correct?
Well, I mean, see, growing up, I always saw my dad be friends with all other actors. So that's all I knew. Like the way I saw the industry was a very warm, friendly place. And now when I'm acting, that's what I want to do as well. And you know, these people are genuinely my friends. Like I said, Sara just messaged me. Janvi and I were doing IFA together, and she landed late and she was like, listen, how's the room service in the hotel? So we literally talked. Like when we're together, I feel like they are the only ones that understand the position that I'm in. They understand me better than anyone because they're in the same position as I am in. So some problems...
They're also getting trolled the same way you are.
Yeah, so anything that I feel like talking about, they actually understand me more than perhaps my school friends, which is another gang, but they all, you know, work 9-to-5 jobs and stuff. So they wouldn't understand the way the industry functions, or, you know, if my movie's coming out, the stress that I'm feeling, probably Janvi and Sara understand that much, much better. So I would like to believe that we're all, and they're also very supportive about my work. You know, they're always the first few people to post my trailer, to message me, watch my movies, you know, always be so supportive. And I think that's great if we can set that example for just young women and show that, you know, it's not this cat fight that you hear about. It's not like that.
Yeah, those days are gone, right?
And
the Stardust issues where people say this one, and yeah, why is it only women fighting with each other? I barely
really, they never pit the men against each other, which is a horrible thing. And I think it's not, you know, and now I think there's room for everyone. There's just so much work out there for people to do, and it's always good to like support other people. And I'm so inspired by the work that, you know, all the young girls in our industry are doing now. So more power.
There's room for everyone, and there's room for some amazing content you've created lately. Ananya Panday, it's been a pleasure to have you on set with Hitlist.
This was so much fun. I didn't like realized. Time flies.
Subscribe to Midday India. Get direct notifications on all our videos by clicking on the bell icon.